grade is not something that they're going to be ultimately incredibly comfortable into. Maybe this is a spot where we see BLG go for stuff like the Scion, but instead are, opting for Gwen and a potential Sejuani here. So already this top side looking quite potent in terms of side lane and as the game goes forward.
Yeah, really love this opener. And now with Team WE, like, what do you do jungler wise, right? I mean, the Skarner, the hover would be totally fine, right? But that's a Sejuani taken away with the Rumble pairing is pretty rough to overcome. And now do you just like pick Yone so Knight doesn't get it?
I think for Karis, it has been a pretty important champion, but for what they're showing right now, I just don't know if it's necessarily worth for them to be going for it. We're going to actually see the Corki picked up here. This is one of the few teams in the league, and I think across the world, that are still kind of leveraging Corki as a flex between mid and AD carry, but instead, they're going to be opting for the Ezreal. So Team WE already setting up a very strong team fight. I think the Skarner being able to lock down multiple members, having the range of a Rumble and an Ezreal is going to be nice. So I'm going to be looking at for them, what other champions are they going to try to use to either give them more magic damage or potentially set up more of these fights. I think in particular when we look at what BLG are showing, Braum and Nautilus really start to peer out to me when we're looking at supports, even stuff like Rel for Vampire.
Heading into the second half of bans to see what WE wants to go after. It looks like they're going to pick on the 80 carry pool of Elk. Not a surprise there. Kaisa with this team would be absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
I do wonder if they'll split the difference and go for a second AD carry or a first support or a second AD carry in the second half.
There's a possibility you try to say, like, hey, let's get rid of stuff like Jin or even Misfortune when you look at this team. So BLG are going to be very potent on side lanes. I think getting rid of options for WE to match is going to be really good. I like the focus of the Akali and the Aurora here away from Taeyoon. They do end up getting rid of the Misfortune. So BLG, how we see them prioritize topside objectives, specifically playing around Grubs, is going to be very, very key to whether or not we see this team have that explosiveness when we talk about fights. This Yone coming in alongside the Gwen and having that Sejuani. It looks like we're just going to be pairing it up with champions that really have fallen out of favor at the very early stages of Split 2. We actually haven't seen a lot of Ashe recently up until now.
Yeah, I really love this pick if they go with it because that means if WE want to pick up a Braum to try to shut down BLG's three melees, then you get to just go and pick a Karma, right? Or a second, range champion in that bottom lane to really try and cause problems for that bot lane. See the Tristana hover coming through, one of the teams that does, like to go and pick this Tristana in the mid lane. It's not super popular, but it's certainly a pick that has come through at times. And it will be locked in here for Karis.
Interesting. I think when you were talking about the support pairings, I really would like to see Karma on the Ezreal side, just being able to abuse the Ashe matchup and try to match some of her range. We did say that we wanted to see Engage here coming in from Vampire, but with a Tristana, part of what I am going to be worried about here is not only in the individual in the laning phase should be good enough to match up into Knight, but I am worried about side lanes, whether or not she's going to be able to hold her own, especially with Yone getting paired alongside this Sejuani. These should be a very good duo when we talk about playing later in the game, playing as a two-man unit on a side lane.
Yeah, 80 carry is not known for their ability to side lane into these strong champions. Waiting for BLG to get their last pick together here. I think this moment makes a lot of sense. It's going to be the Alistar coming through. So the team compositions are set, Alk, and these solo laners for BLG going to have a whale of a time, hopefully, for them. And just needs to be on top of things on this Alistar. We've seen him be a little inconsistent at times, as mentioned, but really has to be on top of getting Monki and Vampire out of these fights.
If BLG are able to secure a massive amount of Grubs, I think they're going to be feeling very happy with their early game plans. And like you were just mentioning, the supports and how they interact in this game, On can't just walk forward into this team. You're going to be having Ezreal and Tristana wailing at you, and Rumble can kind of pseudo-ignore you with his equalizer. So how On plays around vision and gets into flanks is going to be really pivotal for me to see whether or not BLG can have a comfortable time in this game.
Yeah, and just to set up the early goings a little bit, I feel like it'll be a good opportunity here for Wei to show up to this top lane, try to set Cube behind. That way, He can't be impactful for those first grubs that we're expecting BLG to want to go after. And, you know, for Team WE, it's going to be all about Monki making sure that his top laner can be okay, that you are able to keep him on that top side because the equalizer is just so powerful.
Exactly. It does give Cube a lot of ways to get out of dives later on in the game, so if we're expecting to see some lane swaps, that is something that is available here, but we're getting ready to head into game number 1 here between BLG and WE, and a big game for WE coming off of a couple of wins versus TES yesterday, but here a BLG that has been struggling so far in Split 2.
As we said, a get-right game for BLG. But it might not be as easy as we thought it would have been no more than 2 days ago, right? Team WE has shown some fight. Let's see how much fight they actually have in them. Game 1 coming at you now as we hit the Summoner's Rift.
Oh my god, WE.
Okay.
Oh my god, W. That's embarrassing. I'm so sorry, guys.
Tough.
It's alright. That's tough.
One day, they will have fans shouting the Gyos at them.
Those years are long gone, brother. They'll be back. It has been 12 years.
It has been a very long time. When I first got into League, man, I remember like, oh my god, this team was good. You know, this team was great. But,
I've only heard the legends of Team WE. For our resident old person, Kelsey Moser, she tells us all the great days of Team WE and EDG. So usually that's once she starts talking about like old Team WE and like Crystal and everything, I'm just like, all right, let's get you to bed. Yep, let's get this over with. Let's keep it moving.
Kelsey, if you're watching, this is your time to go to sleep now. All right, that was kicking things off with BLG. Wei starting on the spot side, so is Monki, so looking to at least match, make sure that nothing crazy happens early on. And one thing I want to talk about when it comes to Monki, I mean, Monki was on BLG Juniors, right? And, had played with them in the Demacia Cup this year. It looked like it was probably going to be the understudy to Wei coming into 2025, but, had an opportunity to join Team WE here and kind of individualize himself. So I wouldn't call it a revenge game, but certainly a showcase of, hey, BLG, maybe this is what you missed.
I hate to do this, but I'm going to add a caveat to that and say that BLG were the only team that didn't have to play a Demacia Cup with their full roster. And their jungle at the time, I think there was a situation where it was simply like a lone situation for Monki. So playing for the junior team is nice. They didn't accomplish very much in Demacia Cup, so here in the LPL, it seems like at least Monki's addition has added some stability for a Team WE, but that's not saying much considering they are still losing a lot of games in comparison to Split 1 with Tianjin. So we'll see. Junglers both pathing towards the top side of the map. It is Wei with a minor lead in the jungle clear, and that is, I think, thanks to the fact that his AD carry and bottom lane pair did come and help, do some of the camp earlier on. So we'll see what that ends up turning into. Again, we're seeing this Gwen versus Rumble matchup where, as the game goes on, we do favor Gwen, again, with this exhaust, but Rumble does have some opportunities to trade with her, especially early on.
Yeah, and while they've got a good idea of where Wei is, they know where Monki is. There's a little bit of fighting back and forth here. A positive trade for WE here. Taeyoon continues to land these mystic shots. So Wei heads back to the bottom side. Looks like just a trade of crabs here. So, again, things quite calm, which very beneficial for WE in the early going.
It might be WWE, depending on how this matchup goes.
We'll see.
Good job from Vampire to hover in the river. He should spot out Wei, so no action going to be happening on this side of the map. Minor advantages, we did say that in the laning phase, Karis should be fine in tonight. We're kind of seeing that reflected now. Wei being a bit creative here. They're going to wait for the next wave to come on through, and if Taeyoon spends a little bit more mana, or if we see Vampire engage, I think that's going to be the go button here for BLG.
Yeah, this is great. WWE is going to start here on with the engage onto Vampire. Vampire getting the shield, but the Ignite is down. Onto the Alistar, and it's going to be first blood to Vampire. Now it's just a 2v2 again. Elk is out of mana. Taeyoon, though, getting knocked up, and they flash for flash to land the permafrost And now Elk just trying to rifle away on the Vampire. Monki coming through, trying to stop it from happening, but Elk flashes forward, manages to find the kill.
Oh, no.
And another permafrost going down. Elk's got to try to kite this out, but he's quickly running out of room. He's got to go all the way back over. He's leveled up, so he's a level 4
Stop
now,
him,
the flash
brother!
gets burnt. But Monki all of a sudden has found himself in a bad way, and Way can't close it out. The minions blocked them off.
Oh my god, we already have 4 kills at 4.5 minutes. That was pretty messy from both of our teams. I think advantaged over to BLG. Elk coming out the better of the trade with having to keep his cleanse, but the fact that they're not able to find that 3rd kill really does hurt, and you can see supports as soon as they get back from their respawns, we're just heading mid, we're trying to secure our mid laners a recall here, and potentially even setting up for those Grubs. We put a large amount of importance for BLG to be able to get multiple amounts of these Void Grubs, but I think Team WE, in a very similar fashion, especially with the Tristana, I assume would want to try to leverage some of her early power and potentially look to engage on this objective. As we got to see this fight, I think On just took way too much damage, and Elk is literally not doing any DPS while this is happening.
Yeah, just was not able to do much, but and it turns out this is a positive 2v2, even though it was originally a 3v2, right? They managed to just get the better of Taeyoon and Vampire, but hey, credit to Monki for getting there. Wasn't the first one to that play, but able to at least salvage it.
And you can kind of see now that Elk is like trying to space. He has lethal tempo. He's trying to get all these Qs. Monki eventually gets the auto flash with the W, but these 2 minions, man. Way, this was your fault. You used the W, right? The fact that the flail comes in and moves the minions does put them in front of you, so trap them behind that wall. We're going to be seeing it after this replay, trying to use the priority of a Rumble to get early Grubs. Good job coming in from Team WE. And how many of these can they confirm? They're going to get 2 at the very least, and it seems like BLG are going to move them off and only secure 1. So a great opener already for Team WE.
Yeah, really wise, and Vampire getting there first and being able to do things is, hold on, level 6 on Monki, so maybe some opportunities. Karis coming in from the side. Elk is caught in the pit. His On gets engaged on, and he's going to blow up. Meanwhile, on the other side, Elk gets wrapped up. The knockups on the Vampire. He's going to fall, but Elk dies in the pit. So Team WE go 2 for 1, and they'll secure the 3rd Grub.
Good start from them. I mean, they find 2 kills there. On, yet again, taking way too much damage early into the fight. Elk is trapped in the pit without flash. The positioning from BLG just hasn't looked that good so far in recent games, so continuing that trend, WE are going to punish them, and now we come back out onto the map. I mean, that was a play where we could have seen a numbers advantage there for BLG. The fact of the matter is now, I mean, despite Knight having a very minor experience lead versus his mid lane opponent, his bot lane is suffering, his top lane is going even, Monki is as well going even on this Skarner, and this is a very worrying trend here for BLG early on in this first game.
Yeah, and he couldn't make that big of an impact in that fight because Karis was able to get the back first, and they had to clean up the rest of the wave and then TP back, and then had a wave shoving into him, and now, BLG unable to do much with their bot lane up top. They're going to lose the Dragon too.
Wow. This right here, I mean, this should have just been On trying to cancel out Monki and get him away from the pit, but look at what we're fighting. Like you were saying, Knight not here at the very beginning of this. A lot of free damage coming in from Karis. Personally, I would have loved to have seen him immediately turn onto Elk and just get those W resets to end the fight just a little quicker. But aside from that, BLG just didn't look like they were all ready to go on that fight, and they pay the price. It's going to be first Dragon going over to Team WE, and they already got the first, they got the Feat of Warfare, so they're a single objective away. 2.5 minutes potentially getting early feats of strength here for Team WE, which I think really impressive considering what we've seen from them for the entirety of 2025 so far.
Yeah, we're looking for growth. We're looking for them to build off of what they did last night, and they are certainly building off of it right now. Alk, very impressed with what Team WE is doing, but of course, BLG are a battle-tested team. You never quite count them out, and this is not the part of the game where they are the strongest either, right? Team WE exponentially stronger earlier, but once Bin and Knight get going, if they do, they're going to be hard to stop.
Yeah, you can already see it. Something that we mentioned from draft, when you're playing this Rumble, it is a little harder to dive as the equalizer does give you a one-wave out button. So they're going to immediately go for the swap here, and it seems like BLG are going to try and take control of this topside jungle very early on, still a minute and a half, but what they really want to do is get an idea as to what WE's camps are at.
Yeah, Vampire, they're just throwing everything at him. He's got to flash away.
I'm I'm tentatively kind of okay with that, because Ashe ultimate cooldown early on is still a bit high. I don't think you'll have it for the grubs that are spawning, and now you're going to be down a Sejuani ult. Yes, Vampire doesn't have his flash, but with Hex Flash and with level 6 hopefully coming soon, I think this is a perfectly fine trade for Team WE.
Yeah, and you still have Monki's flash ultimate too, so that's something that you can hang your hat on. It's not your, the Vampire's not your primary source of engage. He's being run down by Wei, but both of these guys are belted up, although Knight is going to flash over and seal his fate. A nice play by BLG.
Okay, that is where BLG end up winning this topside fight now. So, Monki saying, look, Vampire, I really wanted the scuttle. I'm sorry that you had to blow your flash for it, but I'm going to be sacrificing my life. Still didn't end up getting the scuttle there, and so BLG will maintain some priority on this topside objective, though. With on canceling his recall and Wei just now coming out of base, this does allow for WE to get some vision back onto this topside jungle and still prepare themselves for an upcoming Grubs fight. I'm looking at these two top laners though. Teleport is going to be up and available for Cube in a little bit's time.
Well, Alkanon just backed, so there's an opportunity here for Team WE to be first to the river again. Obviously, won't be able to clear out that that Scuttle Crab vision, but being able to seed some more, maybe make sure that Wei and Knight can't get close, but there's going to be a teleport expended coming in from Karis, looking to seal these Grubs. Wei ready to go over the wall, on showing up to the party as well. First one is down, and BLG doesn't look like they're going to get many of these. Here comes the Enchanted Crystal Arrow on the Karis. Monki trying to frontline, flashes forward, knocked to the side, and he forces Elk's flash, but he is getting low, and he is going to run into Knight and Elk and fall on the backside. Wei trying to do what he can, but he's forced off, and it looks like BLG will find
Knight.
One kill, maybe more. No, Vampire will walk it out. So they lose 5 Grubs. Sure, you got a kill, but that ain't worth.
Yeah, 5 Grubs for Team WE. Now Tristana in a perfectly fine spot to be able to get some stuff done. I will say, you look at the map and Team WE, they put a big wave in mid lane just to try to get a little bit of damage before moving in for those Grubs. BLG were late for that, and Karis trying to find the 1v1.
Oh, flash!
Has no flash
He's got
anymore.
the ult. He's got
His
the
ult's
ult.
down. Oh!
Nice play by Karis there.
Well, how much time does he now get on this turret? I think he's probably just going to be looking for a back. He doesn't have very many eyes. Like, he doesn't know where On is. There's a potential that Wei could still be on this top side. Same thing with Bin potentially looking for a TP. So, trading flashes, I think, still advantage for BLG when you look how the team fights are going to be able to go and being able to have, you know, flash on Tristana versus a Yone. But still, individual leads, things that we were not necessarily expecting for Team WE coming into the series, but from their draft, they're starting to execute, Yanni. I'm getting excited for Team WE.
And I respect this play, too. Typically, when a Yone gets on you, you're a little worried as an AD carry, but Karis jumped forward. He's like, wait a minute, I can win this 1v1. As you mentioned, his flash being down will be curious for this Dragon fight as the Equalizer goes down onto the wave. Meanwhile, up top, Bin caught in a 2v1. The exact might be down on the Karis.
Wait, Bin!
Karis is
Wait,
able to hop out,
Karis!
but no. Wait, Vampire's alone, but Monki is coming through, and they're going to scoop up Bin and finish him off. It'll be a second kill to Monki. They might lose the Dragon, but they should get more.
I think they're fine with this. You have 5 Grubs and a Tristana? Hell, we got the first Dragon already. Who cares? I feel like Karis definitely could have, you know, stayed in there. I feel like he jumped out just a little too far there, but how much damage can we see from Team WE? 6 Grubs. They've now gotten 2 plates for themselves, and like we can see in the picture-in-picture, that was a kill going over, a 1-for-1 between the 2 top laners, but so much being split between Karis and Monki. They're going to be way far ahead. 4 plates here between the 2 of them.
Bin TPing just to make sure this turret stays upright. We get a little bit of damage on the Monki, but Bin doesn't really have a whole lot right now. He does have the Rift Maker, sure, but with no summoners, you can't get too close. Cresting toward the 14-minute mark of this game, Alk and Team WE with a small lead in the gold department right now. Karis gonna run down a little bit here, but they're going to look to turn on here. Monki trying to drive it through with the Ixtal's impact. Can't quite get close, but the Impale will get ult is there. Not enough damage coming through now. Bin ready to turn this around because they have no mana. Bin's going to continue to charge. Karis has to jump away, but Monki is not fast enough. Bin, you just need one more dash to catch up to this guy, and he will be able to chop him down. A 2v2 victory for BLG.
But the feats of strength go over to Team WE as they finally grab the first turret in top lane. So, small trades of gold. I think we are continuing to see the shades of Team WE that we've been getting throughout the year, where Monki dropping a lot of his camps. You look at the map right now, he has almost 7 camps up right, or he has almost like 5 camps up right now. A red buff that's going to be stolen here by Wei, and Monki wasting a lot of time just trying to guarantee that Karis gets his gold and gets himself in a good spot. But you look at the map right now, he's even or behind in experience versus Knight.
Yeah, and that means that they're able to make plays like these onto Cube. The second time he's going to get 3-manned in the bottom side this game. A little worrying, Hulk.
So we kind of peel back and we're looking at the rest of the map. Where is a lot of the gold laying? Elk here has 1,000 gold out of seemingly thin air between him and Taeyoon. And, I mean, he's just been able to hold these mid-waves really, really solidly for his team. So while his solo laners are on side lanes trying to get stuff done, trying to hold on to lanes, and for Knight trying to get this bottom lane tier 1, BLG, I think, are fine with the map state right now. They're not happy with obviously losing a turret already and giving up those grubs, but in terms of team fighting, I think that they can be okay with where they're at.
Yeah, I think the only thing they'll really have to weather the storm on is once Taeyoon hits his 2-item spike, right? Cube should be fairly strong too, so should Karis. So if you can survive that, you can survive anything as the arrow goes down onto Karis. Vampire tanking up the turret a little bit too, as this mid lane turret just about to go down. Monki maybe looking for a turnaround. He does have the Impale, but 3 members of BLG shove off 4 of WE.
Great job of being able to chauffeur themselves out of mid lane. I like that we kind of got to see Karis sit near in that Raptor pit, but because they make this play, because they lose out on so much HP, they will not have access to these Heralds, which I will say, as a team that is so focused on playing Demolition Squad and trying to get early access to gold by just taking down structures, I think you losing that fight and subsequently this next one puts you in a really tough spot to be able to win this game.
Yeah, they really want this. The reset didn't happen fully, but they're still hanging around the area, maybe for a wayward steal. It's not going to happen, so BLG will secure this, but that is a big blow to Team WE's hopes of taking control of the game.
And now what they'll be able to do is, if they really want to, yeah, just summon down the Herald. You put yourself at an advantage because you'll be able to take down this mid-tier 1, which means you can now move your vision line towards bottom lane, help Knight eventually take over this bottom lane tier 1 that he's been working on for a couple waves now. And we're talking about Dragon spawning a minute and a half. This should be, at least for BLG, move through bottom lane river and then take control of this side of the map.
The good news for Team WE is the turret did not yet fall. The BLG want to take it back. Could stick around, could WE. It looks like they will not do so, so just even backs on both sides as the Dragon comes up in about a minute. And mid lane is going to be where you're going to want to watch out for, Hulk, because whichever team is able to get this turret down, provided they don't take a horrifying trade, will give them all of the control in the world for this Dragon.
So like you were noting, mid-tier 1 doesn't fall, so BLG are not able to necessarily expand their influence. And also during that play, Vampire actually canceled the recall of On, so he will not have any wards for this fight. There's a massive amount of vision in favor of Team WE, and with Cube having access to teleport, he might just have to trade this. Oh my god, Knight. The wireframe just scared the hell out of him. He's like, why is there 3 people in this brush? Alright, so Team WE are going to put a pretty big focus on this bottom lane tier 1 and just try to make access for this Dragon.
That's Taeyoon doing a good job getting that mid lane turret. Elk, it's going to be hard for him to do much of anything. Karis down here with his big tanky buddies. Trying to do what he can. Good buffer on that Sejuani ultimate to escape any danger. And that is a big cooldown off. It's On with a big flash knock up there. The Impale going down, landing on the 1. Knight wants to get in here. He's got his ultimate ready to go, but he's going to end up snapping back. Cube joins the party as well as Bin, but the knockups are there. Here comes the equalizer, but it doesn't land on anybody as Knight gets into the pit and is starting to get some kills. Team WE forced away. Cube being exhausted into a knockup, into a permafrost, into a death, and the Dragon goes to BLG.
Knight is saying, hey man, it's cool that you kind of solo killed me in some of these instances, you won some of the laning phase. Look at what I'm able to do on a side lane. Look at how much resources. Come and check the experience of how many internationals I've been attending. Kind of show the difference between you and me here, Karis. Replay, we get to check it. Early investment from BLG to start this fight. Remember, there's no Sejuani ult while all of this is happening. But Karis getting stunned out, and then this ultimate coming in from Knight. Q3 plus ult just means that Karis gets taken down immediately, and that's been kind of the shining spar and how much gold they've been putting into for Team WE in this match.
Rough stuff there, but Knight maybe caught out on the side lane. He's able to get that Q3 to try to get away. Now you just got to get Karis in the party. Another Q3 away. They're shoving down Knight here, and they will be able to find him. Enough slows are there. Can you auto this guy, Karis? Thank you.
There you go. All right, but how much did they lose for this? Yeah, this is probably going to be a trade of tier 1s here. It's going to be BLG getting themselves mid-tier 1, also trying to threaten. The ultimate does not land anywhere near anybody. But Karis, again, will be getting a lot of gold, and this is so much focus from Team WE on getting this Tristana ahead of the curve, getting her items. She's going to be getting what looks to be an Infinity Edge next, and so I want to see if Karis can carry this game, because Taeyoon can kind of pepper them around. We've seen Rumble do some work in these fights, but that experience differential between our solo lanes is starting to grow, especially here when we talk about Bin versus Cube.
Yeah, the problem is Bin might get a lot more gold in him. He took down the turret, and he took down a Skarner. So Karis has to be a little worried. Oh my goodness! Wow! Did not land the knock-up as Karis is able to escape. Meanwhile, the fighting continues in the top side as Wei is caught. Who's going to get it? No, it's Cube going to go down. It ends up being a 1-for-1, and Cube getting the gold, but that is not what you want.
And look at where the lane allocations are. Tristana will eventually get down to this bottom lane wave as it crashes, but BLG can just very simply move into mid, help their AD carry take over mid lane, and that'll be more gold and more camps going over to the side of BLG in a game that has felt pretty close, all things considered, for Team WE, but we're seeing those minor errors really start to bite back versus a team like Bilibili.
Yeah, and we talked about how BLG, their team fighting has still been stout, and this is really where you're starting to see the difference come in. Knight in that last Dragon fight, and then of course, you know, having to deal with a guy like Bin on the side lane, you gave him Wei to help him out, was able to close out the deal. And now these solo laners that were like, hey, you got to take Grubs away from them. Oh, it doesn't matter, they're too strong.
Yes, and this was, you know, the pattern that we would have seen from BLG in years past, where lean on your solo laners, let Bin and Knight take over a game, and have the jungler really accentuate some of their strengths. Part of the thing that we talked about from draft was with this Gwen and with this Yone, Sejuani has so many different angles that she can kind of play through. She can play through either of these solo laners and really make them a lot stronger when we talk about playing some of these longer lanes and side lane. So I'm glad we're starting to see that. Again, a lot of these fights have been Knight on a flank or Bin coming through with the Gwen. And it's going to have to continue to happen as we're getting closer and closer here. But 2,500 here for BLG, an Otacon that has been sitting on the table, and Dragon spawning in minutes half time. I don't think this gets much easier here for Team WE, and it has kind of only come down to whether or not Karis can actually win them this game.
Yeah, and it feels like for at least fights, what you really need to do is try to pick off a member of BLG to slow down their ability to play the map. But the problem is you don't really have too much of that, right? It's Vampire that would need to blow a flash, but WE would need to secure some vision to take BLG by surprise. I just don't know if they're going to be able to do that.
Someone that we haven't touched on, you know, despite the head-to-head is Taeyoon on this Ezreal. He's, despite, I think, the early lane, you know, we were talking about that bot lane fight that happened. I think we're getting a fight around Otacon. Seems like teleport coming in from Cube.
This could be the surprise. He's going to try to pull him to the rest of his team, but Karis is over the wall, not ready to go. Is on, shoves him off. Meanwhile, Knight hits a two-man fate sealed, and Knight will snap back, but will fall. Double knock him, so there, and Elk is now untouched. Bin on the side, forcing away Karis. He can't join the fight, but Monki's trying to come through to help him out, but he runs right into a pair of scissors. And hit a crystal arrow, almost landing flush, forces the flash out. A 3-for-1 for BLG as they secure Otacon.
And the 2v2 duo of Team WE with this Skarner and this Rel, Monki and Vampire, they just go way too soon. Taeyoon is nowhere near this fight. They'll lose Otacon, all of these Blood Roses, and a large majority of their summoner spells. So Team WE dig themselves an even deeper hole that they're going to need to dig themselves out of. And BLG are totally fine with getting free kills and these objectives. We said from the draft that Monki and Vampire have been early drivers. This 2v2 has been so good for them, especially yesterday against TS, but Karis jumping into what I'm assuming is probably one of the worst spots to be able to dive in, especially when you see the teleport preemptively. Where is Taeyoon? Taeyoon just now got to this fight. He's landed a single Q and then has to back out because the fight's already over. This was a massive amount of miscommunication coming in from Team WE and a free fight for BLG.
And then Karis had to blow his flash on the backside anyway, right? You know, at that point, you're just better served if you go in. Obviously, you can't tell the future, but I mean, this is a near impossible scenario for Team WE to get out of now. It's soul point for BLG. It's a mountain soul too for these, you know, solo laners that love to get into the mix. I don't know, Alk. It feels like WE's game may have passed them by here.
Yeah, they weren't able to use those 5 grubs, and now that BLG are 4.5 minutes away from is a mountain soul, I think this is going to be so tough to play. Already have a tough time bursting through a lot of these tanks until 3-4 items, especially. Visuals that they want, it's gone.
Yeah, Vampire's going to get in there just to see it say goodbye. Way going to go in. They're going to make a full engage onto the front line of Team WE. The Gwen gets pulled, but isn't really taking a whole lot of damage. Vampire's going to fall. Monki manages to survive, but the chase, BLG one more. Looks like they're not going to. You take your prize, you get out.
A single kill onto Vampire, and we need to see BLG now use this Baron. It'll have an overlapping timer. Oh my god,
that's
nice!
A 4-level difference, by the way.
Yeah, and it's the new Yone, so he's got his crit modifier back. Minus
he got a
the,
swagger back.
CC.
Elk with a flash. Karis wins the fight, but the minions are a little too strong. I felt like the last gasp for Team WE, maybe just a death rattle.
And that'll be a top tier 2. That'll be again this Baron being used by BLG. Knight should just
hang on.
Knight's just dead.
Yeah, they might. Oh no! Oh, Q3 out. Nobody got close to his soul unbound, and now Taeyoon is gonna get run down by Wei. Wei knocked up, but On is here, trying to keep the tank alive. Knock up on a Vampire. Ezreal coming through, but here's the teleport, and Bin is ready to go. Those scissors are heated up and cutting through these champions like a hot knife through butter, my friend. It is tough out here if you're Team WE.
Yeah, and I've been trying to talk about the overlapping timers in Baron and Dragon, but
it doesn't matter.
I don't know. Like we are going to be able to see the 4th Baron or the 5th Dragon of the game spawn, but if BLG just grabbed the Mountain Soul, then that kind of feels like the last touches on this game. It already feels like this game is quite done and dusted. We've been talking about you know how much Knight has had an impact. Bin on this Gwen has the highest individual lead at 3,000 over his lane opponent and is 3 levels over Cube. So Team WE, it looked good yesterday. I think we are still seeing more of the old Team WE, and even the one that showed up yesterday in the back half of their series is, yeah, just small pockets of vision here from BLG make this pick possible. It's nice. It does mean that Knight does get to kind of pressure on the side lane here, but the fact that Elk goes 1 for 1 is just it's a backbreaker.
Yeah, that's how you know you're well and truly cooked. This Vampire could be in trouble down here, but you know, just thinking back to where it all went wrong for Team WE in this game, around that dragon fight where Knight made such an impact and a 2-man fate sealed.
Yeah.
You know, but it feels like I don't know how they could have positioned themselves differently in that one to avoid this sort of thing happening, because the game felt like it exploded from there.
I mean, part of it is you probably just have to play line brush a little bit better, but kind of a moment of history gone in the past in my mind, because this game is extremely chalked. I mean, we're already seeing it. You see the pings on the map. W are like, guys, there's double super minions in top lane wave. Yone is soloing this objective right now, so BLG are just going to get a free Mountain Drake. They have 3, or Mountain Soul, they have 3 Mountain Drakes on top of that, so Wei is basically unkillable. On is getting to that point, if not already, and if there are any resistances built by some of these carries from BLG, I mean, how does WE ever make it through? It's cool that you got like a Leandries on Cube and an LDR, right? But I just don't think it's going to make a meaningful difference when we look at this fight, and we're seeing how BLG are able to advance the game.
All right, they got Wei's shield off. Good stuff. All right, it's back on. Bad stuff. Yeah, that's essentially what this game boils down to. It's just looking mighty doomed for Team WE, as BLG just need to find their opportunity to pull the trigger here. And then we'll get to see them try and right their early game wrongs for game 2, because that feels like the last piece that BLG needs to really solidify.
Okay. Need to see them make a play. It's going to be off the Ashe ultimate.
Yep, Monki down to about half HP. Vampire trying to get to the back line to just stop all this damage, but I mean, nobody can get in there. Bin gets pulled to the back line. He goes golden. Took a lot of damage, but I don't really think it's going to matter in the end. It's a 2 for nothing for right now. The health bars are starting to get low on BLG, but Elk is just able to hit for free. Knight gets knocked away. Taeyoon caught under this turret. Does big chunk damage to Elk, but the turret is back on the minions. Taeyoon is out of his base, unable to recall. Just on an island, man.
Taeyoon, just recall, brother. It'll be the inhibitor. Oh, no.
Oh, okay. This is now how you know these guys are happy gaming now. Taeyoon is a true AD carry. He said, there's a minion wave here. I want this minion wave.
Well, no, he had to walk into it because he doesn't know where Knight is in Fog of War. So, oh, Knight? There you go. Okay. So, that'll be another kill going over. BLG now balloon their lead to 10,000 gold. Baron spawning in a minute, and Yanni, this is just the victory lap. There are no illusions that Team W are going to be able to come back, because the only way that I see triple inhibitors, double super minions in every wave, Team WE winning this game, they get the Baron, and they have to basically protect whatever wave is available to them. And that just doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. The double super minions make it so that any minion wave that leaves your base is basically going to be very weak and potentially already gone. So they need to push out first, then move to the objective, and then after that they still have to get through all of these structures. And with the Baron, it's a little bit easier with 5 Grubs. That obviously laxes some of the damage required, but I just think that having triple inhibitors down makes it nigh impossible for you to ever contest.
Damn, your line for WE to come back in this game is much better than what I thought would be their way to get back in this game, which is somebody on BLG being distracted by a fan sign and BLG playing 5v4 for that entire fight where that's happening.
I'm pretty sure they win
completely
5v4,
honest with you.
By the way.
Yeah,
so.
I think they're just going to win the 5v4 anyway.
Yeah. All right. This is going to be what looks to be the last push. There's a wave in top, a wave in bottom lane, and BLG are trying to put the last bits of a victory together here versus Team WE in game 1.
Hey, the top inhibitor respawned. All right.
Wow.
All right, the top inhibitor's down. Tough. On. Hold on. On getting forced off. Okay. A little bit of damage going on to WE, but not a whole lot. Monki not able to land the impale, and Knight is just dumping damage on people. The Nexus turrets will fall, and BLG will lead the series 1-0.
11,000 gold, get some fancy feet at the very end, but our solo laners here from BLG, they came to play today. It was a single solo kill on tonight for Karis, but aside from that, a particularly flawless game from Knight and Bin, and those are the carries that I think game in and game out, BLG should always be reliant on the fact that they have some of the best solo laners, bar none, across the league and across the world in general. So good to see that they're able to kind of get back to basics and perform against a Team WE that, again, are expected to lose.
Yeah, and they're so consistent too, right? Like even when they're not playing at their peak, which very clear that BLG is not at their peak right now. Even their solo laners, they're still so damn good. Like they are just still head and shoulders above a large majority of the league. And like you said, aside from that one miscue by Knight, not winning that 1v1, it was pretty safe, all things considered, for the other guys. And you saw for a little bit that fan vote coming up there. I would. Yeah, it feels like it should just be a Knight MVP, right?
Yeah, that was a really strong Yone game. It was a game that he had to kind of outperform in some instances because he is kind of the major damage dealer and kind of the person that's going to break open the game when you look at their composition versus an Ezreal and versus this Tristana. So it was good to see the highlight reel stuff is there for them. And kind of going back to Team WE, did we see any improvements from kind of game to game from yesterday? I'm not so sure. I think that this was, again, another game where Team WE, their solo laners, got down in terms of golden experience versus their counterparts. Monki, I think, jeopardized the game a fair amount of times by going for a lot of ganks, trying to prioritize Karis, but dropping camps and unfortunately also dropping a lot of objectives. So I'm a little scared for Team WE. I think that one win is something that we're going to be putting alongside the series win that TT were able to get against BLG. It was a one-time fluke. It happened. Nice. And then we're going to move past it and really not talk about it. It might be the highlight of the season for Team WE.
Yeah, back to our regularly scheduled programming. You take a look at the damage charts. Karis was able to do a lot, but one thing that still impresses me is obviously Ezreal's going to do a whole lot, but Taeyoon didn't really get too much attention this game. A lot of the attention was on Karis, getting him really strong, and Taeyoon's still able to deal this damage is a testament to what we said earlier and what this guy can do.
Yeah.
I
don't know. I feel Knight did, yeah. I'm happy that this is the BLG, but also this is the expected outcome. Like coming into the series, this should just be a 2-0. We get in and out, and then we're looking at our match of the week for Weibo versus NIP. If we're being 100% real, and you remember at the very top of draft, we asked what are ways that BLG can lose to Team WE? It was on, right? On, got caught out a few times. He takes way too much damage. You see it in this first trade, right? He dies way quickly in this fight, way before their jungler has made it on through. Talk about later on where we're kind of setting up around objectives. He gets caught out or isn't able to really put enough crowd control between him and enemy carries. So, honest, still a little bit on watch for me.
Yeah, this is a play that should have been a 2 for 0, right? A very clear cut, maybe a 2 for 1 if you're a little unlucky, but better teams are going to punish this even harder than WE was able to, right? It only ended up being a 2 for 2 in the end, but better teams, you're getting reversed on.
Yeah, Team WE is unfortunately not that team.
No, they don't have that dog in them. Big ups to Karis, one of the few highlights. This play right here, love a that shoots out a Pengu. I need to start.
Yeah, it's Pengu. It's the Pengu soldier Tristana. I love this.
I gotta start using that skin. That's
all the animations on it are pretty tight. The E is really cute because it's a small little duck, and when you hit, it makes a squish sound. It's as close to Heartsteel as you can get, basically, in my mind, for Tristana.
Oh,
so,
yeah, that is pretty good. But
yeah.
Yeah, this was the fight that really looked like it sunk the ship for Team WE here. Knight wisely waiting on his ultimate for the second time that he goes in the fight as opposed to the first. And then, of course, as you pointed out, Vampire and Monki, I like that they're trying to link up together, but they're not linking up with the rest of the team.
I'm so mad that Karis jumped this way, man. I'm still pretty pissed about that.
I think you just go. You just get in there. You just have to,
I think you either have to get in there, maybe you jump off to the right. I know that he is afraid because, as we saw in that play, Elk and On come in from the wings underneath, and Elk, Taeyoon does have to follow in after them. But I just why?
We're already
Just
carries,
jump in
man.
with your team.
You know, we feel that.
Tristan. There's a reason Karis has not played Tristana mid this entire season. Okay, so Corki is the only real marksman that we've gotten from him. I think we're starting to see a little bit why. Unfortunately, Karis has been a player that we've had a lot of criticisms for. Someone that I said coming into this game I wanted to see big improvements against, and it was going to be a tough ask going and playing against Knight, but he had some individual moments that were great thanks to the matchup, but aside from that, it really wasn't all that much to write home about. And I love that our observers took multiple moments to kind of go through all the highlights to flame away and missing the auto on the very first fighter on bot lane, or even there where the Skarner flash, he just kind of like is stuck in place and then he ults absolutely air. Thank you.
Yeah, that's tough. You don't need the mouse pointer for that one. That
No.
or that it's clearly missed, and it's tough, right? You got to try to make that play, but got to be aware of how many stacks of permafrost you have, so you get absolutely stuffed. The good news is, even if that play is successful, it's probably not changing anything, right? So it might be glossed over in the post match review that Team WE will eventually have, I'm sure.
Yeah. So again, we're expecting Knight to get the MVP here, and going into game 2. Now we're kind of starting to think about some of the things that are no longer available with Gwen and the Rumble gone. I'm expecting Rumble or Scion priority to raise a little bit. We're probably going to be getting a Jace versus Mbessa matchup somewhere there, but it's way.
Okay, your thoughts?
Game 2.
All right. There you go. You heard it here first, everybody. Game 2. We'll see you there.